He said it so quietly, standing there in my living room, the late afternoon sun casting long, deceptive shadows across the floor. Shadows that felt like they were reaching out, grabbing me, pulling me into some cold, dark place I didn't know existed moments before. He said, I slept with Sarah. Just, like that. 3 words. 3 perfectly ordinary words arranged in an order that detonated my entire universe. My best friend. My brother. My ride or die. And the woman I was planning to ask to marry me. Look, you hear stories like this. You see them in movies, read them in books. You think, that's awful. Can't imagine. You have empathy, sure. But you don't feel it. Not the visceral, gut-wrenching, world-collapsing reality of it. Not until it's your world. Your gut. Your ride or die. Your person, Mark. His name was Mark. Still is, I guess. Though the sound of it is different now. It used to taste like laughter, like shared history, like the easy comfort of someone who knows the worst parts of you and still sticks around. Now it's just, ash. On my tongue. In my heart. Everywhere. We met freshman year of college. Random roommates. Total strangers. He was loud, messy, always cracking jokes. I was quieter, more focused, maybe a little too serious. Didn't make sense on paper. But something just clicked. Instantly. Like finding the missing piece of yourself you didn't even know was lost. We were inseparable. Literally. Same classes when we could swing it, same terrible cafeteria food, same late-night study sessions fueled by questionable energy drinks. We navigated those awkward college years side by side. First crushes, first heartbreaks, we were each other's debriefing team. I remember when his high school girlfriend dumped him via text. He was shattered. I stayed up all night with him, talking, listening, just being there. He did the same for me when my first real relationship imploded. Mark, echoing, cheerful Jakey boy. You ace that psych quiz or what? Asterisk Jake, younger voice, slightly sheepish asterisk barely. Stayed up till 3 a.m. again, asterisk Mark, echoing, clapping him on the back asterisk that's the grind. Don't worry, man, we'll get through this. Together. Like dynamic duo, Batman and Robin. Like dynamic duo, Batman and Robin. He used to say that. We had so many inside jokes, so many shared memories that felt like the bedrock of my identity. We backpacked through Europe after graduation. Shared a tiny, cramped apartment in the city when we both started our first jobs. He was the best man at my sister's wedding. My parents loved him. My family considered him one of their own. He wasn't just a friend. He was family. The kind you choose. The kind you build. We talked about everything. Ambitions, fears, past regrets, future dreams. Girls, of course. Endless conversations about relationships, what we wanted, what we were afraid of. He knew my history. He knew my insecurities. He knew the kind of love I craved, deep, loyal, unwavering. And I knew his. Or I thought I did, years past. We built careers, moved into our own places, still close enough to grab a beer any night. Life got busier, but the core stayed the same. Mark was the constant. Through job changes, through bad dates, through everything. He was the one I called first with good news, the first I called when things went south. He was the fallback, the anchor. Then Sarah came into my life. I met her at a friend's birthday party. She had this laugh, like little bells, clear and bright. And eyes that just saw you. Really saw you. We talked for hours that night. It wasn't fireworks, not the explosive kind. It was peace. Like finding home after a long journey. It was calm, deep, and felt utterly, wonderfully right. That I was smitten, obviously. But I'd been smitten before. This felt different. More profound. More adult. I was careful. Took it slow. And of course, I introduced her to Mark early on. That was a non-negotiable. My best friend had to approve. Had to like her. Had to welcome her into our little world. They got along great. Relief flooded me. Mark was charming, as always. Made her laugh. Asked her thoughtful questions. Sarah, in turn, was warm and open. She didn't try to pull me away from Mark. She integrated herself seamlessly. Our Friday nights went from just me and Mark at the bar to the three of us. Sundays were often brunched together. She'd listen patiently to our old stories, our inside jokes. Sometimes she'd tease us gently. Mark treated her like a sister, or maybe a really cool cousin. Respectful. Friendly. Never a hint of anything else. Months turned into a year. A year into 2. My relationship with Sarah deepened. We talked about the future, not just hypothetically anymore. Marriage felt like a natural, beautiful next step. We were building a life. A real, tangible life. And Mark was still a huge part of it. He was family. He was safe. I remember talking to Mark about Sarah one night. We were sitting on my couch, watching some dumb action movie we'd seen 100 times, ***, sound of movie sound effects, low volume background noise, ***, Jake man, I think. I think she's the one, Mark, pauses movie, yeah. You finally figuring that out, huh, Jake smiling, shut up. No, seriously. It's different, isn't it? Mark serious tone, it is. You're different, Jake. In a good way. She's good for you. Really good, Jake feeling validated, thanks, man. Means a lot. Getting the Mark stamp of approval, Mark smiling, you know I got your back, always. Whatever makes you happy. And she makes you happy. It's obvious. You know I got your back, always. How many times had we said that to each other? How many times had we proven it? Helping each other move apartments, covering for each other at work, lending money with no expectation of getting it back, driving miles in the middle of the night because one of us just needed to talk. It wasn't just words. It was the foundation. Looking back now, the signs. Were they there? Was I just too blind, too trusting, too happy to see them, little things? At first, I dismissed them. Mark and Sarah would sometimes share a look I didn't understand. A quick glance, a shared smile that faded maybe a little too quickly when I looked at them. I thought nothing of it. Friends, right? They were friends now too. They had their own dynamic, their own inside jokes that naturally developed over time. It was fine. It was healthy. Then there were times they'd be talking, and I'd walk into the room, and the conversation would just stop. Or pivot abruptly. Oh, hey Jake. We were just talking about, that new restaurant downtown. Again, I shrugged it off. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me? My birthday was coming up. Maybe they were talking about something personal, something Sarah wasn't ready to share with me yet? I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Always, they started texting more. That was natural too, I told myself. They were friends. They saw each other often. Why wouldn't they text? But sometimes I'd see Sarah's phone light up late at night, and it would be Mark's name. And the texts would be long. Like they were having actual conversations, not just quick logistics. One time, Sarah left her phone on the coffee table while she went to the kitchen. A notification popped up. A message from Mark. It was just the start of the message preview, something like, "Hey, still thinking about." The rest was cut off. My stomach did a tiny, unfamiliar flip. Thinking about what? I pushed it down. It was probably nothing. Maybe they were planning something about the surprise party I was now convinced they were throwing for me. Or maybe he was asking her for advice about a girl he was seeing. Yeah, that must be it. He talked to her about his dating life sometimes. Another time, Mark cancelled on our regular Tuesday night pizza and movie ritual. Said he wasn't feeling well. Totally fine, happens. The next day, Sarah mentioned offhand that she'd seen Mark the previous night. My head snapped up. Oh, I thought he was sick. She looked flustered for just a second. Oh. Yeah, he was, just stopped by for a minute to drop something off. Didn't stay long. Her voice was a little too casual. A little too quick. That night, I found myself scrolling through Sarah's call history. It felt dirty. Wrong. Against everything I believed in. But that tiny seed of doubt, once planted, was growing, twisting inside me. Mark's name was there. A call to him on Tuesday night. Not just a drop-off. A call. I didn't confront her. I couldn't. I deleted the history. Erased my own transgression. And tried desperately to erase the suspicion too. The months leading up to that day were a strange mix of absolute bliss with Sarah and this creeping, unsettling anxiety I couldn't shake. Like walking on thin ice, knowing it could crack at any moment, but desperately pretending it was solid ground that we started planning a trip. Just me and Sarah. A romantic getaway we'd been dreaming about. We booked the flights, the hotel. It felt like a new chapter, a commitment, another step towards forever. The anxiety lessened slightly. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Maybe everything was fine. Maybe they were just good friends. Maybe I was projecting some past insecurity onto the most important relationships in my life. Mark seemed happy for us. Enthusiastic, even. He helped me plan some of the activities for the trip. Gave me tips on places to eat. It felt normal. Comforting. And then came that afternoon. I had taken the afternoon off work. Mark said he needed to talk. Said it was important. He sounded flat. Unlike himself. I asked if everything was okay. He just said, "Yeah, man. Just need to tell you something. Can I come over?" My mind raced. Was he in trouble? Financial issues? Family emergency? My first instinct was to be there for him. My ride or die. He needed me. He arrived around 4 p.m. I was making coffee. The apartment was quiet, just the sound of the rain outside and the low hum of the refrigerator. He sat on the couch, not in his usual spot. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He was fidgeting with his hands. Mark. Fidgeting. That was weird. Mark was always relaxed, confident that I brought him a mug of coffee. He took it but didn't drink. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Mark? What's going on, man? I asked, my voice tight with growing apprehension that he finally looked up. His eyes were, I don't know. Empty? Full of something I couldn't read. Pain? Guilt? Fear? All of it, and he said it. I slept with Sarah. Silence. Absolute, ringing silence. The rain outside disappeared. The city noise vanished. The blood pounded in my ears, a frantic, deafening drum that I remember thinking, no. That's not right. Those words don't go together. I must have looked like I didn't understand. He said it again, a little louder this time, his voice cracking. Jake. I slept with Sarah. It hit me then. Not like a punch. Like the ground dissolving beneath my feet. Like falling endlessly into blackness. My chest constricted. Breathing felt impossible. My hands started shaking. The coffee mug felt impossibly heavy. What? It was barely a whisper. My voice felt alien that he started talking then. Fast, low, like he wanted to get it over with. Mumbling. It was a few weeks ago. At Sarah's place. You were out of town for that conference. Mark, distorted, echoing, you were gone, she was upset about work, we were just talking, one thing led to another, it was a mistake, terrible mistake, never meant to happen. A mistake? One thing led to another. These were the words people in bad movies used. Not Mark. Not my Mark. My mind was a whirlwind. Flashes of moments. The looks. The stopping conversations. The late-night texts. The cancelled plans. The call history I deleted. It all clicked into place, a horrifying mosaic of deception I had been willfully blind to. Sarah. I choked out her name. She's here, Mark said. She's in the car. We came together. She wants to talk to you too. She was here. In my building? Waiting? While he delivered the gut punch? That was almost worse. The calculated nature of it. Coming together. A united front. Against me. I stood there, frozen. The coffee mug slipped from my numb fingers, shattering on the floor. Black liquid and ceramic shards scattered like my life felt in that moment. Mark flinched at the sound. He looked miserable. Defeated. But not devastated in the way I was. Go get her, I said, my voice flat, dead. He hesitated. Looked like he wanted to say more. Apologize? Explain? What explanation could there possibly be? He left the apartment. The door closing behind him sounded like a final period on a sentence that was already destroying me. I just stood there, staring at the mess on the floor. The smell of coffee hung in the air, cloying and sickening. Every memory flooded back. Every shared laugh, every moment of trust, every time I had defended Mark, every time Sarah had looked at me with love in her eyes. It was all tainted now. Spoiled. A lie. The door opened again. They walked in together. Sarah wouldn't look at me. Her face was pale, etched with guilt and something I couldn't quite decipher. Fear? Regret? Mark stood slightly behind her, his head down. Jake, Sarah whispered. Her voice was trembling that I just looked at them. My two favorite people. The two people I trusted most in the world. Standing side by side, having just confessed the ultimate betrayal. It was a tableau of horror. Tell me, I said. My voice was stronger now, colder. They spoke in hushed, broken sentences. It was Mark who did most of the talking, Sarah occasionally adding a tearful word or two. It happened while I was away. They were talking. Late night. Emotional vulnerability. One thing led to another. They regretted it immediately. It only happened once. They had been agonizing over how to tell me. It was eating them alive. They couldn't live with the lie anymore. Sarah, echoing, so sorry, Jake, biggest mistake, Mark, echoing hate myself, never meant, you deserve, Sarah, echoing can't believe we did this, Mark, echoing please understand, it was stupid. Only happened once. Regretted it immediately. Couldn't live with the lie. It sounded so rehearsed. So neat. Like they had practiced this confession. Like they had crafted a narrative to minimize the damage. One time. That was their story, but even if it was only once, did it matter? The violation felt absolute. It wasn't just sex. It was the shattering of a sacred bond. Two sacred bonds. My friendship with Mark. My love with Sarah. intertwined and then brutally severed by their shared secret. How long? I asked, cutting through their mumbled apologies. A few weeks, Mark repeated. Just 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. 3 weeks of them knowing. 3 weeks of them looking me in the eye, pretending everything was normal. Eating dinner with me, laughing with me, helping me plan the trip with Sarah. 3 weeks of lies built on lies. And you were just going to let me go on this trip? I asked Sarah, my voice rising. Thinking everything was fine. Thinking about our future. She flinched. We didn't know how. We were terrified. Terrified? They were terrified? What about me? The person they were actively deceiving? The person whose trust they were demolishing. The conversation, if you can call it that, devolved quickly. Into pain. Into accusations. Into their pleas for forgiveness and my utter inability to even comprehend the concept. I yelled. I cried. I demanded to know why. Not just the one thing led to another why, but the deeper one. How could they? How could the two people who knew me best, who supposedly loved and cared about me most, do something so fundamentally destructive? They couldn't give me an answer that made sense. There was no logic. No justification. Just a hollow repetition of mistake, regret, so sorry. Their words felt like pebbles against the mountain of my pain. Eventually, I just ran out of steam. Ran out of voice. Ran out of tears for that moment. Get out, I said, my voice raspy. Both of you. Get out. They hesitated. Mark took a step towards me. Jake, man, please, get out. I roared. The sound echoed in the apartment. They recoiled. Sarah started crying harder. They left. Again, the door closed. This time, the silence was absolute. Dead. I didn't move for a long time. Just stood there in the wreckage of my living room, the shattered mug at my feet, the shattered pieces of my life scattered around me. My phone buzzed. Messages. From Mark. From Sarah. I didn't look. Couldn't. I walked to the window. Stared out at the rain. The world looked gray and bleak. It matched how I felt inside. The next few days were a blur of agony. Not sleeping. Not eating. Just existing. Replaying the confession. Replaying the moments leading up to it. Questioning everything. Was our friendship ever real? Was our love ever real? How could they look me in the eye? How could I have been so blind? My other friends reached out. They knew something was wrong. I gave them a heavily edited version at first. A breakup. A fallout with Mark. Too ashamed, too raw to tell the full, ugly truth. But the truth leaks out eventually, doesn't it? And the judgment, the pity, the awkward silences from others just amplified my own pain that I didn't talk to Mark or Sarah. I blocked their numbers, their social media. I couldn't bear to see their names, their faces, anything that reminded me of the lie. The silence from them, after their initial barrage of texts and calls, was deafening. It felt like another layer of abandonment. My apartment felt haunted. Every corner held a memory. Sarah laughing on the couch. Mark crashing on the floor after a late night. Pictures of the three of us, smiling, oblivious. I wanted to burn it all down. That I couldn't go back to work. Couldn't function. Took a leave of absence. My parents were worried. I told them some version of the truth, enough to explain the breakdown, but it was still too painful to articulate the full horror. Sleep offered no escape. Nightmares of their confession, of finding them together, of being laughed at. Waking up was worse. The same crushing weight of reality every morning. That I started going over the past again, obsessively. Every detail. Every interaction. Were there more times they were together? More lies? The once story. I started to doubt it. It felt too convenient. Too clean. Betrayal this deep didn't feel like a single, regrettable incident. It felt like something that had been festering that I remembered little things. Mark knew Sarah's schedule weirdly well sometimes. Sarah knew about things Mark had told me in confidence. Small pieces of information exchanged between them that bypassed me. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Now, it felt sinister. Like they had a separate channel of communication, a private world I wasn't privy to, the anxiety I had felt before the confession. It wasn't paranoia. It was my gut trying to scream the truth at me, and my brain refusing to listen that I started looking for proof. For confirmation of my fears. I went through old photos, checking dates. Tried to remember specific nights, specific alibis. It was a desperate, morbid scavenger hunt through the ruins of my past. One rainy Saturday, weeks after they dropped the bomb, I found myself driving aimlessly. I ended up in Sarah's neighborhood. Parked down the street from her apartment building. Just watching. I hated myself for it, but I couldn't stop. I needed to see something. Anything. After an hour or so, I saw a car pull up. Mark's car. He got out, unlocked the building door, and went inside. He was wearing casual clothes, carrying a grocery bag. Like he lived there. Like this was normal. My blood ran cold. They said it only happened once. 3 weeks ago. He was here now. Carrying groceries. Was he living with her? Was this an ongoing relationship? Had their confession been a lie layered on top of a larger, deeper lie? I drove away, shaking. The one-time lie felt like a cruel joke that I knew I had to talk to someone. Not Sarah, not Mark. Someone who might know something, or at least could help me understand. I thought of Clara. Sarah's best friend. She had always been kind, a bit quiet, but seemed genuinely fond of me. Maybe she knew something. Maybe she had seen something. I called her. She sounded surprised to hear from me. I was blunt. Told her the edited version, that Sarah and I had broken up, and things were bad between Mark and me. I asked if she had talked to Sarah. Clara was hesitant. Yeah, I've talked to her, Jake. She's going through a lot. A lot? I scoffed, unable to help myself. She's going through a lot. What about me, Clara? I know, Jake. I can't even imagine, she said softly. She told me it was a mistake. That it only happened once. That's what they said, I said, my voice bitter. Do you believe them? Silence on the other end. A long, pregnant silence. Clara? Jake. Sarah is my friend, she said slowly. But, what they did was messed up. Really messed up. Is there more, Clara? I pushed. Something they're not telling me? Another pause. Longer this time. The sound of her breathing. I can't. I don't think it's my place, Jake, she finally said. It's Sarah's story. She needs to be the one to tell you everything. Everything? The word hung in the air. Everything. Not just one time. Not just at the mistake. There was more. My suspicion was confirmed. The pit in my stomach deepened. Please, Clara, I pleaded. I'm going crazy here. I need to know. If not from you, who? She sighed. A heavy, weary sound. Jake. I can't give you details. But, it wasn't as simple as one night. It was complicated. More history than you know. More history than I know. Those words echoed Clara's hesitation, the looks, the secret texts, Mark at her apartment today. It wasn't one night. It was a relationship hidden in plain sight. Or maybe just a longer, deeper affair I knew nothing about. That I thanked Clara, the conversation ending on a note of strained sympathy and my own renewed desperation. I needed to know the everything that I couldn't go back to Sarah. Couldn't talk to Mark. But Clara had planted a seed. Sarah needs to be the one to tell you everything. Maybe she would. Maybe she had reached a point where she couldn't bear the full weight of the lie anymore. Days crawled by. I stayed in my self-imposed exile, checking my phone compulsively, even though I knew they were blocked. Half hoping, half dreading a message. Then, one afternoon, an email arrived. From Sarah. My heart leaped into my throat. My hands trembled as I opened it. It wasn't long. Just a few lines. Jake, I know you never want to hear from me again. I understand. But there is more you need to know. I haven't been honest about everything. It's not a justification, nothing can justify what we did. But you deserve the full truth. Please, will you meet me? One last time. Just to talk. No expectations. I'll come wherever you want. Just need you to hear it. My first instinct was rage. How dare she? After everything? Asking to meet? To talk? But beneath the rage was a burning, desperate need to know. The everything Clara mentioned. The more you need to know, Sarah admitted to. I couldn't live with the partial truth, the curated lie of one time. I replied. Short. Functional. Yes. My place. Tomorrow afternoon. The hours leading up to her arrival were agonizing. Cleaning the apartment felt like preparing for a funeral. Trying to make it look like my life wasn't completely destroyed. Removing any trace of them, old photos, gifts. She arrived exactly on time. Stood on my doorstep, looking smaller than I remembered. Wearing clothes that seemed too big for her. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her face pale. That I let her in. We stood awkwardly in the living room, the same room where Mark had delivered his confession. The air felt thick with unspoken history, with ghosts of laughter and betrayal. Thank you for seeing me, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. That I just nodded, my arms crossed over my chest. I didn't offer her coffee. Didn't offer her a seat. I needed this to be quick. Painful, but quick. You said, there's more? I prompted, unable to drag it out. She nodded, wrapping her arms around herself. She looked like she was freezing, even though the apartment was warm. Yes, she said. She took a deep breath. The night Mark came here, and told you, that was true. We did sleep together. I flinched. Even confirming the part one knew was agonizing. But you said it was just that one time, I said, my voice flat. She finally met my eyes. And the look in them, it wasn't just guilt. It was despair. Deep, bottomless despair. That was the lie, she said, tears welling up instantly. The lie we agreed to tell you. My blood ran cold. Agreed? So you planned it? Not the confession, she rushed to say. Not the timing. But, we agreed to minimize it. To make it seem like a mistake. A one-off. To minimize it, I repeated, the anger rising. Like that somehow makes it okay? No, she cried. Nothing makes it okay, Jake. Nothing. But it wasn't just a few weeks ago. When you were out of town. She paused, steeling herself. I waited, my heart pounding, bracing for whatever fresh hell she was about to unleash. It started, months before that, she confessed, the words tumbling out. Not long after Mark and I really started spending time together. After you introduced us. My breath hitched. Months? Not weeks? How many months? The timeline in my head shattered. We were drawn to each other, she continued, her voice breaking. I don't know why. It wasn't planned. It just happened. A conversation here, a lingering look there. It felt wrong, but there was a connection. A pull. A connection? A pull? With Mark? My Mark? While she was with me? While she was telling me she loved me? While we were building a future? We tried to stop it, she whispered, tears streaming down her face now. We knew it was wrong. Terribly wrong. To you. To our friendship. To everything. But we couldn't. Or we didn't. I don't know the difference anymore. So it wasn't once, I stated, my voice low and dangerous. She shook her head slowly, miserably. No. It wasn't once. It was an affair, Jake. A secret relationship. 4 months. An affair. Not a mistake. Not a one-off. An affair. With my best friend. 4 months. While we were planning a life together. While I was thinking of proposing, the ground didn't just dissolve this time. It exploded. The world didn't just go dark, it ceased to exist. An affair. It implied intent. Planning. Ongoing deception. Not a momentary lapse in judgment, but a sustained act of betrayal. Every single moment flashed before my eyes again. Dinners with the 3 of us. Their shared looks. The whispered conversations. The texts. The time Mark cancelled pizza night. My gut wasn't just whispering, it had been screaming bloody murder, and I had taped its mouth shut with blind trust. How many times? I asked, my voice barely audible over the ringing in my ears. How many times did you lie to my face after sleeping with my best friend? She couldn't answer. Just sobbed, covering her face with her hands. Was any of it real, Sarah? I demanded, stepping closer. Was any of our relationship real? Or was it all a performance while you were building something else with Mark behind my back? It was real, Jake, she cried out, dropping her hands. Her face was a mask of anguish. My love for you was real. That's the twisted part. I loved you, but I was also. I don't understand it myself. You loved me, I repeated flatly. It sounded like a foreign language. While you were sleeping with Mark. While you were lying to me. While you were letting me make plans for a future that was already based on a foundation of absolute lies. She sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands again. Her body shook with sobs that I just stood there, numb. The initial shock of one time was devastating. But this was annihilating. It rewrote history. It turned cherished memories into cruel jokes. It proved I hadn't just been unlucky or hurt, I had been actively, systematically deceived for months by the 2 people closest to me. Why? I asked, my voice hollow. Why the one-time lie? She lifted her head, tears streaking her face. We panicked, Jake. When you were gone, that night, it happened. And it felt like the ultimate crossing of a line. We knew we had to tell you. But we couldn't face the truth. The real truth. The truth that it wasn't just a stupid mistake. That there was something else. Something ongoing. We thought, maybe if you thought it was just one time, when you were away, in a moment of weakness, maybe, eventually, you could understand. Maybe eventually, you could forgive. Forgive one mistake. Not an affair. Forgive an affair. The thought was laughable. Impossible. And Mark? I asked. Did he agree to this lie? To minimize it? She nodded. Yes. We were both desperate. Terrified. We talked for hours after you left that day. He felt the same. He couldn't, he couldn't bring himself to tell you the full extent either. He knew it would destroy you even more. He thought, maybe it would be less painful this way. Less painful? This way? Dripping out the truth in layers of escalating agony? This was a special kind of torture. So the confession, I said, piecing it together. 3 weeks ago. Was there a reason for the timing? Or did you just, finally grow a conscience? She hesitated again. Looked down at her hands. That's the other part. The part that forced our hand. My blood ran cold again. More? There was more. She took another shaky breath. Jake, that night. The night it happened, the night you were away. I got pregnant. Pregnant. With Mark's baby. The silence in the room wasn't just silence. It was the sound of my world imploding, leaving behind a vacuum. Pregnant, not just an affair. Not just months of lies. But a secret life taking root. A future being born that had nothing to do with me, but everything to do with the two people I trusted most. This wasn't just betrayal. It was erasure. My relationship, my future, my place in their lives, all of it had been gradually, secretly, replaced by something else. Something they had created together, while I was right there, oblivious. You're pregnant? I whispered, the words foreign and sharp. She nodded, tears falling silently now. And Mark? Mark is the father? Another nod. And you confessed, 3 weeks ago, because I found out for sure a few days before that, she said, her voice thick with emotion. And I knew I couldn't hide it. Not from you. Not from anyone. We panicked. We thought if we told you about the mistake, the one time, you would be hurt, yes, devastated, but maybe eventually you'd move on. And maybe, just maybe, we could figure out how to handle the pregnancy later. How to tell you, how to explain. But just the cheating confession felt impossible. The weight of the real secret, it was crushing us. We couldn't keep the big lie, so we tried to hide it behind a smaller one. A smaller one. A one-night stand lie to cover up an affair and a pregnancy. It wasn't about one night of weakness. It wasn't even just about months of deception. It was about a future. A family. They were going to have a baby together. Mark and Sarah. My ride or die and the woman I loved. Building a life I thought I was building with her. The betrayal wasn't just about sex. It was about a stolen future. A stolen identity. The man I thought I was, the life I thought I had, it was all a mirage. Built on their shared, festering secret that everything wasn't just the longer affair. It was the consequence of that affair. A living, breathing consequence that made their betrayal permanent, undeniable, and tied them together forever, irrevocably. I looked at her. Sitting there, vulnerable, tearful, carrying my best friend's child. The woman I had loved more than anything. The woman who had woven herself into the fabric of my life, only to reveal that she was simultaneously weaving a completely different life with the man who was supposed to be my brother. I felt nothing. Just an infinite, cold emptiness. No anger. No sadness. Just void. The shock was too profound. The betrayal too absolute. Get out, I said again. My voice was calm this time. Lethal in its quietness. She looked up, startled. Jake, please, let me explain more. Let me, there's nothing left to explain, Sarah, I said, turning away from her. You told me everything. And everything tells me I didn't know either of you. Not at all. You were never my ride or die, Mark. And you were never the woman I thought you were, Sarah. I walked to the door and opened it. Stood there, waiting. She slowly got up. Her movement stiff, heavy with the weight she carried, both literally and figuratively. She walked past me without looking at me. Without another word. She stepped out into the rain that I closed the door quietly. Leaned my head against it. He was my ride or die. Until he slept with my girlfriend. And it wasn't just a night. It was months. And it wasn't just an affair. It was a life. A secret life they built together, brick by brick, lie by lie, while I stood beside them, completely, utterly blind. They took my trust, my love, my past, my future. And in return, they gave me a broken heart and a truth that was far more devastating than the lie it replaced. You think you know people. You think the bonds you build are solid, unbreakable. You do the trust fall, certain they'll catch you, but what happens when you fall, and they don't just let you hit the ground? What happens when they step aside, just so they can build something new on the spot where you were supposed to land? That's not just betrayal. That's annihilation.